Welcome to Fellowship of Fandoms podcast, or as we will be calling it most likely for the most time in the future, FoFCast. This is our first episode. This is a sister channel to the Fellowship of Fans, which was and is and will be a mainly Tolkien and Middle Earth related outlet. Here on this channel, we'll be covering all things nerdy. We'll try to keep up with all the fun things happening in the world of TV and cinema. We'll be branching out in all the different directions that an average nerd in 2026 can branch out into. So, from big comic book adaptations like the MCU and DC releases, for better or for worse, to big sci-fi epics like Dune or fun projects like Project Hail Mary, which we had earlier this year. We will go into things like Star Wars, Dungeons and Dragons, Star Trek, as well things like Mortal Kombat and cinema blockbusters in general. We will aim to inform and discuss on all sorts of news on the biggest fandoms we all love and care about. I am Strider. I'll be here for quite a while, I think, hopefully. And here with me, for the most part at least, it will be my very good friend Shiv. And Shiv can tell us about another thing that we will be doing a podcast, a bit of a passion project of his own. Shiv, what else are we cooking here?
Yeah, so I didn't want to limit us to all things nerdy, so we're going to branch out slightly and also kind of deep dive into all genres of cinema. So we're going to be doing a monthly episode called the Fellowship Film Club. And in that, we're going to cover two films of different genres, starting out with some of our favorite movies to kick it off. But the goal is to announce the movies ahead of time so everyone can get their watch list in order and participate. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of share the details shortly on that.
Hell yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff we have in mind, and hopefully we'll at least make half of them happen. So before we go to the big thing for tonight, which is the House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 1 discussion, just one quick mention before that. We have a big Discord community as well. You can check it out in the description. Please join. It started mainly as the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth community, but at this point we also have a lot of people talking about Star Wars, about Westeros, so A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, however by whichever name you might know it, and also many others. We just talk about all the nerdy stuff over there, so please join there. We are open for everybody having a nice conversation about the things they're passionate about, and it's a great community. So please check it out. And now I think we can start with the big one. Basically, tonight, the first episode of FoFCast is dedicated to House of the Dragon, Season 3, Episode 1. And we're gonna dive into it. We both watched it in the last 24 hours. I guess she watched it as it premiered. Myself, being in Europe, I had to wait about 20 hours later to watch it. It was a big one. It was a very, very big, strong episode. So before maybe we go into it, just a quick maybe recap of how we are approaching this discussion. I have not read the Fire and Blood book that this is based on, so I do not know all the intricate lore. I do not know all the interesting deviations that the show is doing from the book. We might have some experts joining us in some of the future episodes that might clarify some of these changes. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I did watch, of course, the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon previous seasons, of course, and also A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And I also watched a lot of lore videos, so I kind of know things, but also not really. I don't know the books. So this is kind of we will be mostly approaching this from the point of view of we are watching the show and we are reacting to the show itself, not as much to the lore changes, at least for most part. Shiv, what about you? What's your history with House of the Dragon?
Yeah, so for the most part, echoing you, I can say that I actually own an autographed copy of Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin, but have not read it yet. So that is on my list of things to do. And for people wondering why haven't I read it, I'm currently trying to read all of the Expanse books, and I'm on book 3 out of like 9 or 10, so it might be a while before I read George R. R. Martin's book, but I'm gonna try. But unlike Strider, I have not dived into many lore videos because I'm trying to be spoiler free for this to the best of my ability. So it's kind of fun to just go into these things blind. And yeah, what an episode to go into blind for talking about the season opener. Holy moly, it was something.
It was something. I just want to say real quick before we go into that. I feel like Rhaenyra on this photo is kind of seems like she's judging us for not reading the books. That's how I'm choosing to interpret this photo. It's like go read it. But yeah, anyway, it was a crazy episode. It was a bit of it was quite a banger to start with, and I just want to open with by saying or by referencing season 2. A lot of people were disappointed with it, kind of for understandable reasons, I would say. There was a lot of things happening in the background of season 2. Originally, it was actually supposed to be longer, and this episode was supposed to kind of cap off previous season. So the main problem people had with season 2 was actually the fact that there was no payoff. So season 1 was kind of the build up into to the conflict, and then season 2 was the build up to actual fighting, and we did have obviously a couple of conflicts, but there wasn't any of this big stuff really happening, and that was mainly due to, I think, a combination of, as far as I remember, a combination of there was a couple of strikes going on in Hollywood of the creative people behind all of these shows and movies we like or hate, depending what we're talking about, who's the audience. But yeah, there was a lot of strikes going on, and also in combination with, I think, some production stuff in the background. Anyway, it was not planned, but it ended up being the case that they had to cut out the final part of the season, which meant that it kind of ends on a very anticlimactic note. But that's why this season starts basically with the banger that was supposed to finish season 2. Which, bad news for season 2, great news for season 3. It's off to a epic start. So yeah, general thoughts before we go into depth a bit more.
It is funny you brought up that background because when I first started watching the episode, I was like, "Is this the season where season 2 ended like abruptly and like it seemed unresolved because of strikes?" And then as the episode progressed, I'm like, "Oh, 100% that's had to have been what happened because it felt like a finale, basically." But I'm not gonna I mean, maybe I did complain a bit, season 2, when the ending happened, but I'm not complaining at the beginning of season 3. Like, I hope it matches this energy throughout to the best it can, because it was, yeah. If we're talking high level comments, let's see if I can get some sound bites out of here. I think it was one of the best Westeros episodes filmed. So that's my first hot take, I guess. And second one, I think it was one of the best depicted I guess you can say wooden boat battle um that I've seen. Like I was trying to think of other movies and nothing. Like I know there's like Master and Commander and stuff like that, but I mean, this one was intense. Like, there's like shots that reminded me of even like Dunkirk, um, where it was just getting like super overwhelming and chaotic. Um, but yeah, like those are my two hot takes. How would you?
Yeah, I mean, it starts off, I think, yeah, really, really. Well, it's a great way to start the season, and I do think that the episode was really good. I think we have some shots from the battle itself. Um, I think I love the fact that I've seen on the internet people comparing, this is the new Helm's Deep level quality battle episode. And I just, as a small side note, I love the fact that Helm's Deep is still the golden standard for an epic battle in a quasi medieval era movies and TV shows. I just love that, the fact that that's still the golden standard. I mean, yeah, look at the shot. Like, it is a beautifully made shot. The one thing I feel like House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones both. Well, actually, that's not completely true. Towards the end, Game of Thrones, they struggle with it a bit, but for the most part, these adaptations do usually manage to really bring you the scale and the depth of the battlefield more often than not. I think, especially in the last couple of seasons, one could make some criticisms for sure, but overall, like, some of the best things put on screen in terms of medieval type of combat, these adaptations are
Yeah.
certainly the place to look at, like, 100%. And this battle is no different. Like, as I said, like, it's really, it's great. The one thing I'm curious about is there was a lot of fog, and I don't know, I feel like I was trying to avoid spoilers, so I didn't go into it, into researching that, but I feel like they maybe chose to have some fog to kind of be able to focus on, like, some things near to the camera, let's say, instead of, like, having to deal with, like, 200 ships in the background, because all the CGI, all the thought that has to go into that to try to denote this. I guess that was probably like a bit of a sacrifice they had to do, like, sacrifice the scale in a way so that you can focus on, like, really getting into, like, the gritty details of the fight. But yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
great. uh and then this is obviously the big punchline of the episode. But maybe before we go, I don't know if you have some, like a follow-up comment, but maybe let's wrap up with, like, the wrapping up of the battle, and let's skip over to some of the other storylines. But if you have a follow-up comment, just, you can also do that, or we can just skip to some of the other scenes.
Yeah, the only other thing I could say about the fog is sometimes that helps with masking CGI. So it helps kind of preserve the quality
True.
of the image. Like if it's like a clear, crisp day, like it's usually easier to tell it's CGI, but the fog does a good job. Like I'm assuming that's CGI on screen right now, and the fog helps kind of mask it from looking fake. And yeah, that scene in particular was, well, we'll get into it, but there's some great shots from it for sure.
Hell yeah. Yeah, let's just go maybe quickly over some of these other storylines before we go back to this huge one. Of course, a lot of them do, in one way or another, kind of converge into this. So maybe let's visit the Greens. Let's visit Queen Alicent and all of these things happening in King's Landing. This, of course, kind of ties with Rhaenyra. Basically, as maybe in case somebody forgotten, Alicent went on this secret mission to Dragonstone to talk to Rhaenyra towards the end of season 2, and basically she promised to give up her son Aegon in order for Rhaenyra to conquer the city and end the bloodshed and spare the lives of everybody else on Alicent's side of the family. So she kind of finds herself in a bit of a conundrum because Aegon is suddenly missing because he fled with Larys, and we have Aemond basically trying to assume control. And yeah, Alicent finds herself in this whole thing. So, and then parallel with this, we are seeing Aegon and Larys trying to get to, like, a point of safety, and then they get captured by some of the loyalists of Rhaenyra, and Larys kind of proves here his shrewdness and pragmatism here pretty well, because first he tries to hide Aegon, like, to figure out a way to sneak them by in a peaceful way. But once that's ruined by Aegon's pride, he realizes that he has to switch gears, he reveals that this is Aegon and banks on the fact that these soldiers would try to bargain these two as for some big reward. So we kind of have this whole thing, and then Alicent is trying to, at the same time, Alicent is trying to honor the agreement with Rhaenyra, and she spends a lot of her episode trying to get Aemond to leave and seize Harrenhal so that King's Landing can be free for Rhaenyra to come and conquer it. So yeah, what did you think of all of these things? And this also kind of ties into Rhaenyra's side of things, but I think we can get to that a bit later because then that leads us to the fight itself. So what did you think of like Alicent, Aemond, Aegon, Larys, this whole thing happening in King's Landing and around it?
Yeah, one of the first comments while I was watching this, I'll pull up the image if I can find it again quickly. Um, so like, so we just came off of watching A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and the tone was, a little more uplifting, I guess you could say. Maybe like the violence is toned down slightly, but it's still in there, and it still felt like Game of Thrones. Um, but I feel like one of these scenes, I think this scene was pretty early on in the episode, and it's just immediately like, oh, these guys are of no consequence, and they just stab them right there. So it's like we're getting back to like, the gruesome Game of Thrones that we're used to. So seeing that early on, I was like, okay, yep, this is definitely not Night of the Seven Kingdoms anymore.
Nope.
Toto, I don't think we're in the Night of Seven Kingdoms anymore. Um, and so yeah, seeing that, I was like, wow. And then I do, because House of the Dragons aired like what, over a year ago, for season 2. So my brain was a little foggy, and then going into even watching the recap, I was like, I don't even remember half the stuff happening. Um, so having that as a background to then kind of seeing how the Game of Thrones, dare I say, starts to occur again, with Alicent kind of devising this plan and then coming back and seeing it foiled by her own family. Um, I thought it was like brilliant writing, whether it came from George R. R. Martin or the showrunners. I like how it just, you can see everything devolving basically right in front of her eyes. Of, oh yeah, you're trying to save the kingdom as well, and well, your son kind of ruined those plans, and
Which one?
everything's. I don't think she has a good son at this point. Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah. So it's an interesting episode. Even like those plot lines were pretty powerful, and I feel like they had a strong weight, even against what people are saying are like the next Helm's Deep level of battle. So that says something. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, knowing that this is a huge battle episode, I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to getting there. But I think one of the coolest things about these adaptations we had so far, and like the coolest thing about Prime Game of Thrones was having different sides to a conflict, or not even different sides to a conflict. You can just have these 2 3 sides here, but then there's somebody else doing a thing here. The one thing with House of the Dragon is that, and I think that's the reason why it's maybe less appealing to an average person than a Game of Thrones, because you have this one big central conflict, and everybody is pretty directly connected to this conflict, one way or another. But everything is around this conflict. In Game of Thrones, you had Daenerys for 6 seasons across the Narrow Sea. You had White Walkers in the north, and then you had all the war stuff happening in the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. So, with that in mind, while it's still not as great as Prime Game of Thrones, which is praised for a really good reason. It really is still fantastic television. The first 4, maybe even 5 seasons. Um, it did feel like I did like the pace, basically the pace of this episode, where we kind of see all these other things, and then they're slowly building up. Well, not even slowly, just like steadily building up to the battle, and then the battle starts, and then we're in it, and it culminates. Um, so I think they've hit a good balance, and then I did enjoy seeing these characters again, like seeing what's up with Aemond, seeing that he's still as he is, but again having in mind that this is the basically the final episode of season 2. It all made sense, especially with this context in mind. I don't know if everybody had this approach going in. Probably not. Um, Not a lot of people know these things. We are like proper nerds, really into all of this stuff. So it's like we are likelier to know that this is actually the end of season 2 that was meant to be. So anyway, I did like this whole. I enjoyed it, even though I remember, and I was one of these people. A lot of people were unhappy with the fact that Alicent went to Rhaenyra and that this kind of all happened. And there's a lot of how do you say it? Like you kind of have to jump over a lot of mental hurdles or whatever to kind of
Oh yeah.
make an excuse for the fact that she was able to sneak into Dragonstone and back, and this all works. So yeah, but still, overall, it was nice to see them. The actors, whatever someone might say about script, the actors always do a stellar job. If one thing is there that's consistent about all these adaptations, it's that casting is like who was miscast. I don't know if who was miscast, unless it was some like D tier character who was miscast in all of these 3 adaptations so far. Like it's always speed casting. So it was really cool to just see all of them, see where they are, and then just use this as like slow build up towards the battle.
Yeah. And I have another comment kind of related to something you said earlier. Like with Game of Thrones and how everyone's involved in this conflict. One thing I like about this show is I feel like everyone's motivations are very clear and they're earned. Like, I guess a famous example is like Walter White in Breaking Bad. It's like you pitch that elevator pitches elementary school or high school teacher turns to drugs and has cancer, or turns to sell drugs and has cancer and wants to fund his healthcare through that, right? Okay, it makes sense once you explain it and see his journey going from worse to increasing his level of transgressions there. So like with this, we got that through these 3 seasons. It makes sense, like the claim to the throne. It's not just like I want the throne now, and there's no like weight around. It's like the complication of when the king died and promising to Rhaenyra and all that. Like it feels very earned. And then even the stuff with Aemond and all that of like being bullied as a child, plus just like Targaryens have a bad rep and dare I say like some kind of genetic disorder of leading towards horrible things. One might say. But yeah, overall I feel like all the characters, like it just how everything's meshing together just makes total sense and it all feels earned for the most part. So I don't know if you agree there or disagree.
Yeah, I do pretty much. I think they do a solid job. I think a lot of people who have read the books, I have some friends who have read the book and the books, who know these things way better than me, and they obviously would disagree but for different reasons. But that's why we set this up and said it at the start of this episode. We are both basically show watchers in this case, so it all makes sense enough. So yeah, and well, I guess one thing that's kind of interesting, and this could be maybe it's lost on me because it's been quite a while, and I mean I do kind of understand the idea behind it, but it is a very interesting storyline on its own. We have Rhaena, who is basically trying to mount this wild dragon called Sheep Stealer, and she does eventually bond with him. But that was one of these interesting storylines that are kind of there to move away from all this warring stuff, but actually it in a huge way it ties back into the episode. And I really liked that moment when you think he's kind of gone. He left her there to die, like, hey, are you okay? You rode me, but that's it, bye bye. And then he actually comes back and brings 2 sheeps. He roasts them, does make some barbecue, and then they kind of have a supper together. So I thought that was a interesting one. Like, what did you think of this? Like, I mean, this is like a minor storyline until the point it goes into the battle. So maybe just like a quick comment. What did you? Any particular funny thoughts or something on this?
So it's definitely good foreshadowing to his temperament because he seems pretty flaky, and it also lures you into a false sense of security because you're like, oh, he like is taking care of her now and giving her food and all that. So you're like, oh, maybe he's like turned around for the better, and then cut to the battle, and he's just annihilating everyone and friendly fire. Yeah, so what brilliant structuring of the episode there because of the foreshadowing, the like making you get some confidence in the dragon just to like spin it on its head and
That's
talk
a great
about
point.
just like piling on the drama too, because you have like the battle going on, and on top of that a dragon that's unwieldy and just attacking everyone, and then the technology they're using on the dragons to try to take them. It was like you have that storyline going on with the Alan storyline, and is it Corlys? I
Corlys
think that's what his
Velaryon,
name
yeah.
is. Yeah, and all that, and the actress. I forgot her character's name. I knew I should have had that document up. What is her name? But the warrior, basically.
Oh yeah, I am not sure her name. She's been there for, I guess, like just like 2-3 episodes, but she was pretty cool. The leader of the fleet that is fighting Corlys Velaryon.
Shirako Luar,
Mm-hmm.
Luhar, Shirako. Yeah, I'll call her Shirako until someone corrects me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, did you have another
I was
comment?
just gonna say, yeah, strong storyline. I really want to get into the battle, so if you have other topics,
Yeah, we have a couple of small ones still. So we can just go through them really fast, I think. So basically, we have Daemon defeating Jason Lannister's forces. So Jason is one of the twins. The other one is with the pirates, or not the pirates, but with the other fleet. And then we have Daemon defeating these Lannister forces, and then for a brief moment, it seems like there's another army that's going to attack them, but it's actually the Stark army that was promised last year by Cregan Stark, the Lord of Winterfell. Actually, they're called the Winter Wolves, apparently, and they're led by Roderick Dustin. And the really cool thing here that I learned kind of before we got together to record this is that apparently the whole idea is because they're all old men. If you look closely, there's no young people amongst them. So it's kind of the idea that the Starks, or like the North, has this how do you say, war doctrine of sorts, where the old men, they volunteer to go so that the younger men can stay behind, live their lives, carry on the name, and so on. Which is why when they were promised by Craig and Stark in the previous season, they were referred to as the graybeards or grayhairs or something like this. So like just to imply that it's this old army coming, and they're like veterans, like they would know a thing or two about surviving. So anyway, they show up, and that's one big moment going on over there. So we got some Starks in action, which is always good stuff. Classic fan favorites. And on the other hand, we have Alicent forging a letter, signing it in the name of Aemond, sending it to the High Tower army and delaying them by 3 days, because she's again doing everything she can to kind of give King's Landing on a silver platter to Rhaenyra. And then the third thing, I'm just trying to get us to the battle. And the third thing is we have those, as they're called, dragon seeds. We have Adam, Hugh Hammer, and Ulf, who are also kind of waiting to ambush Aemond. And then they're convinced by this Alice, the witch, to leave. And that's like a whole thing there. It's just kind of like set up for future episodes. So if you have any quick comments, we have Daemon with the Starks, we have Alicent forging the letter, and then we have the dragon seeds chilling here, basically. We learned some backstory on some of them, or like on Ulf, and that's kind of it. And then once we do this, we can go to the big one.
Right. Yeah, the dragon seeds. I really like the small character development there. I'm very interested in this character in particular. This is Hugh Hammer, right?
Yeah, he
Hugh
looks
Hammer, yeah.
so epic, and the name is also really cool. Hugh Hammer.
Yeah, like I just feel like he's gonna do cool things, and that's coming from someone who didn't read the books. So I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe nothing happens. But yeah, I kind of like the it's like the ensemble of them, because you have him who seems like he came from like like a poor-ish region, and then got a dragon. You have the other guy who's kind of like a drunk, and was it Alan's brother? That's the third one. I forget his name.
Adam?
Adam?
I think Adam, yeah.
And like kind of seeing his disposition with his, like how he obtained the dragon and stuff. Like it seems like it's going to be a interesting thing, and it'd be cool to see if they do more, I guess, missions. I don't know what the right word. more combat together. It
Yeah.
could be an interesting dynamic, because they're like not really loyal to each other at the end. So I wonder, could that lead to betrayals? Could that lead to some I guess mistakes? Like, is that guy going to be drunk and screw things up? Like, it seems like there's a plethora of God, I can't speak. I'm losing
a plethora. I got you.
Plethora of things coming through. So yeah, very curious to see where that ends up. For the other story, oh yeah, thoughts on that before we move on?
No, I mean I'm with you. Just a lot of room for, like, they're just kind of setting up stuff for future episodes, and I did enjoy the setup as well. So yeah, I'm pretty much with you there.
In terms of the other storylines, the Alicent, like the choices she's making, I think makes sense, because she comes back to her son on the throne. That was, well, the son she wasn't expecting on the throne. So I think it would make sense that she would try to figure out ways to correct what's going on. So forging the letter, I think that's a move that makes sense, especially for that time. So yeah, that all makes sense. And the only other comment I guess I'll make of like the sub storylines is, like, I don't remember the significance of, I think he's a high tower. Do you remember any of the background for the high tower people?
Yeah,
they're definitely being featured more.
Yeah, for sure. So this army, so the place where the high towers come from, it's kind of like, I think it's on the other side of Westeros. It's like quite far. So basically, they've been on their way since season 2, and this is, which is weird because he looks oldest, but I think this is supposed to be the youngest somehow son of Alicent.
Oh.
And he has a dragon we saw, but it's not a big dragon. But anyway, he's supposed to be this like really big knight, like a respected knight. So he's leading this army, but I guess that's also like one of these things that are being set up for something further down the line in this season. But yeah, basically they get this letter forged by Alicent that tells them to stay away a bit, or like wait for 3 days. So that's kind of the thing that happens with this episode. But with them, but it's just like set up for what's about to come. Like they're yet to actually, enter the game, so to say.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to go back and look at some of the previous episodes because yeah, I'm totally forgetting that storyline. Like, what was he sent away early on too? Like when they were the younger actors, like playing.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I did the rewatch, or actually, I don't think I. Yeah, it's been a while since I did the rewatch. But yeah, it's a bit complicated. But anyway, he was
Hmm.
basically not a part of the story until now. He's just about to enter properly in it. So yeah, that was the big setup of this high tower army storyline, which I don't know. I guess Daemon will fight with them soon. But yeah, I think. Do you have any extra comments here, or we can go to the big one?
I'm ready to talk about the big one.
All right. So the primary is like the escalation of this episode. The big thing is the explosive, quite literally, culmination to all the build up from season 2. This huge battle at the Gullet, where the Triarchy fleet, which was hired by one of the Lannister twins, engages the Velaryon fleet. So Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake, he is the one leading them, and he's an ally of Rhaenyra. He's on her way to support her, but he gets engaged into this battle, and they're vast. I think they're like 3-1 outnumbered, or something along those lines. But it goes into this huge chaos of burning ships and crossbows and ballistas and all these different weaponry. And I really just want to take another moment to praise the scenography and the costumes and the level of care that goes into this physical aspect of this show, as it does in all 3 of these adaptations so far. It was so good. Armor looks great. They even reference the fact that the Lannisters wear the heavy armor, which is not a good idea when you're fighting on the sea. It comes to play later, but yeah, there's just a lot of good stuff. It's just a great scene. One can always nitpick, but it does look great. Whether it's zoomed in or zoomed out, it looks like a proper chaos. But I do think they did a solid job of helping us follow what's going on. So before or you can lead us into also. So basically, Lohar, this lady here pushing Thailand overboard, hates Corlys because Corlys Velaryon has been kind of the rival of the Triarchy, I guess, for 20 years. He's been, I guess, hunting them in some way. So she kind of has a personal grudge against him, and that's kind of the subplot of this massive story, of this massive battle. At some point, the dragons show up, and then a dragon shows up at the end of the battle. But before we maybe get to the dragons, yeah, like what's your take on this fight, on Corlys, and on this grudge that there was between Lohar and Corlys himself, and then the maneuvering that he does also, like this whole thing. Yeah, exactly. I think it's called
Yeah.
the Dragon Pass.
Dragon Pass. Like that's like talking about the layers before. This was like another added layer to the scene or this battle is the like suspense of going through this channel and dealing with the rocks and um yeah, just another level of chaos to add to this. And yeah, I love how like Corlys was able to like navigate because he like knew the waters and was able to mostly get through it unscathed. Um, for the Lannister situation where she threw him overboard, Do you think the show heavily implied that he died, or is it possible that he escaped by like stripping off the armor and all that and swimming?
I think he's gone.
Gone. Dang.
I you know, like we did.
Disposed of.
Yeah, basically, like that was rough, but like in true Game of Thrones fashion, like
Just discarding characters left and right.
yeah, quite literally in this case.
Yeah, but between that, like the biggest piece of the battle that I was excited to talk about, I don't have an image of it, I don't think. Um, but I really like the technology that they came up with to take out the dragons. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that before in any kind of like uh fantasy medieval IP of like using anchors basically to drown
Yeah,
dragons. Like, have you seen a precedent of that anywhere else?
honestly, I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised like somebody somewhere in some
Hmm.
form of media. Dragons have been around for,
Forever,
I guess,
yeah.
millennia. Like there's so many stories about them. So probably someone somewhere did this, but I don't think I've seen it on screen like this. Actually, not I haven't seen this in like this context, but there is a movie called Reign of Fire with
Very familiar. Yep.
Christian Bale,
Christian
Matthew
Bale.
McConaughey, and Gerald Butler, I think.
Yep.
Like absolute insanity of a movie. Like if you haven't, the 3.5 people that will end up listening to this, if you haven't seen this movie, so Reign of Fire, it's about 20 years old at this point. But basically, dragons wake up. It's not a spoiler. Like this, is how the movie starts. Dragons wake up, and basically, you're seeing the modern world as a dystopia, uh, overrun by dragons.
Wasteland. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's a great
and
movie. I loved
th-
it.
yeah, there's some creative stuff going on there in terms of fighting dragons. But anyway, I think besides this movie, I don't feel like I've seen something like this in others. Anyway, especially in this context, like with in terms of like sea battles and so on, like they really came prepared, and I respect that. Like one could try to break down all the physics behind all of this, but like I respect the effort they put into imagining this weaponry to make it at least slightly plausible for a viewer to accept this, which I
Yeah.
think as like that's the bare minimum, and I feel like they went even beyond this. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like I really really enjoyed that part of this battle, just to see all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was unique technology. And then another one, not so unique. I'm pretty sure it's used throughout history, but the
Oh yeah,
actual, I don't know if the battering ram on the boat, like I'm pretty sure that's been used in actual warfare, and it was
yeah.
cool to see depicted because it like legitimately, dare I say, Titanic the ship. It split it right in half. And yeah, once again it was a beautiful shot. It looked awesome. The suspense, and like I don't think I have a good photo of it on here, but
No, I mean
like having to
this is good.
jump across the ship bow to continue the battle. I can kind of see it here. Yeah, it was intense. So yeah, what a way to start a season.
Yeah, great way. I think it would have been even better to end the season like this, but here we are. The second best scenario is to start the season like this. Um, yeah, it was great. It was great. I actually remember from my history classes when I was like 10 or something, 11. I do remember reading about this. Like Romans did this, probably others before them. Certainly, many people after them. But I specifically remember that Romans had this thing where they would ram someone, and then they had like an extra thing that kind of like switches over and acts like a bridge that kind of like grabs onto the rammed ship. And then
Oh.
basically I think that was their answer to fight the Carthaginians, because they had this huge rivalry. It was like Ronaldo and Messi basically for a while there. And they, because Carthaginians were such a great a seafaring nation, and Romans were not at this point. So they were like, okay, but they were the strongest land army. So like, okay, we're gonna make you fight on land, on sea, by ramming the ship, and then having this like drawbridge fall, and they just pass over and start fighting, one on one, like in person. So yeah, I guess that was definitely in some way inspired. This battle was these aspects of the battle were definitely inspired, at least in an indirect way, by these things, and it really looked definitely cool. And it was a lot of. I also say, I think, just looking at this shot, for example, of what's his name, Alice,
Alan thing. Yep.
yeah, Alan. Like he had a couple of these near-death experiences that really, I feel like, drew the point forward or further on how crazy chaotic it is to fight in this kind of battlefield. Absolute chaos, and all, I mean, there are terrible stuff, well executed, but terrible stuff. But yeah, and I think we can have a quick jump backwards. What happens at Dragonstone is the fact that Rhaenyra hears about this battle, and she's about to go off and help her fleet. But Jace, her son, basically convinces one of the Kingsguard to, like, basically imprison her for temporarily, so he can go. And he goes with his betrothed, who is also his cousin, and or half sister. I'm not sure what's their relation. It's kind of all over the place. Yeah, and they start, like, it looks like this triumphant moment for the Reds, until another dragon shows up, and everything goes sideways. Sheep Stealer shows up towards the end of the battle, and everything goes sideways. So, do you want to tell us how this all looked to you?
Yeah. For me, it was completely unexpected because I was just struck by the action. I just didn't anticipate the dragon attacking everyone. So that was like a nice twist to the battle of like, wow, she can't control this thing and it's attacking whatever it wants. So that added to the chaos. Um, the the technology of taking down the dragons, amazing. It's I don't. I'm sure we'll build up to the scene that's on screen in a second, but um, yeah, I just this scene in particular was like it's pretty heartbreaking. You almost felt bad for the dragon. Like it's like
Yeah,
nothing it could do, and they're. I think they even said on screen they're like brothers. And yeah, there's it's just tragic. But Game of Thrones, what Westeros
this
to
this
be
is why we're
expected.
here. To watch people suffer and suffer along with them. Yeah, I saw someone describe dragons as basically just like giant cats with
Mm.
wings, which is kind of how they act. And then the sheep stealer is basically like if you put a wild cat with the domesticated cat. That's kind of what happens. It doesn't have respect for them. It's
Mm.
for him or for her. I don't know what's the gender of that dragon. Actually, I think they actually have both genders depending on the situation. But anyway, the sheep stealer looked at these other dragons as equal, like also fair play targets, I guess. So yeah, it just goes completely sideways, and we see some good maneuvering. We see these two. Let me just check her name. So this is
Rhaena? Oh,
Bela,
Bela.
and Jace kind of covering for each other, and then Rhaena with Sheep Stealer. They're kind of like, and she's screaming. She was, imagine her horror actually. Like she was trying. She was like, "Oh my god, what did I do?" Because this thing is trying to kill her sister, misses by bits, and then ends up basically being the reason why Jace and his dragon meet their untimely end. So her experience with this, like, she thought she tamed him. She obviously had the best intentions, but it just goes completely sideways and ends with Jace and his dragon falling down. And I like how they kept going back to these weapons. Like every once in a while, you would see them fire it or something. Like if it show up in your screen, so you keep it in mind, and then finally it catches Jace's dragon, and he slowly sinks, and then Jace, goes out, and unfortunately for him, he was too close to an enemy ship, and he's just gone. I will say this was kind of spoiled for me, but I still wasn't completely sure because I saw this photo. So I was like, but I think he manages to get out. Like, it should be fine. Like, I still managed to get myself into the oh no when when the whole thing happened. So yeah, I did not think he would go down that fast. Like, honestly, I was very surprised with this. But
Yeah.
it's this whole show. Like, I just think everybody's gonna die at some point. Like, I just what's going to happen? Like, who's going to survive here? It's going to be Ragnarok. There's going to be like two, like in Ragnarok, there's like two gods surviving basically, and by that I
Yeah,
mean like one literally comes back from the dead and becomes the next whatever. Like not the like it's insane. So I think it's going to be kind of like here. Like, I don't know. I have no idea who's going to survive. Like, if I would be surprised if all the current named characters just die.
and yeah, whatever they did with the pacing or setup for this, like same thing. I was caught by surprise. Like I don't like in my brain. I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna swim over to something like, or the dragon will swoop him up, something, right? Nope. Like the arrows caught me by complete surprise, and yes, it was well done. However, they blocked the shots and structured that edit. It was perfectly executed because I did not see it coming.
Yeah, same. Uh, but yeah, a great start to a season, I think. Um, yeah, I think we can, yeah, just maybe give some final thoughts at this point because I think we kind of covered pretty much most of the things.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, Rhaenyra is going to react very badly for obvious and understandable reasons to this, but I guess we'll see in the next episode. But yeah, overall, great start. Uh, it's going to be a fun month or two, I guess about 2 months of watching all of this chaos completely explode and implode at the same time. It's going to be gloriously horrific to watch, and I really I have to say, like, this show at this point, I think it's just like pure stress. It's just like adrenaline spike, like cortisol levels are over 9,000. Yeah. Eddie, what are your final takes, final impressions on this?
Yeah, I'm definitely sticking to what I said earlier. Is we're not in a Night of the Seven Kingdoms anymore.
Mm.
We're getting more gruesome and violent storylines, and we're left with some pretty good cliffhangers to look out for the rest of the season. Like, is it Aemond or Aemon being captured, right? Um, and
No, Aegon is
being
captured, and Aemond is
Aegon.
flying to meet Daemon.
So Aemon, Daemon, Raymond. So Aegon, yes, Aegon being captured and heading towards the queen and all that. Like, yeah, it seems like that's going to be ripe for some craziness and maybe some vengeance to look out for potentially. Who
Who
knows?
knows?
But yeah, a heck of a way to start the season. Um, I'm looking forward. Yeah, like this is the show I'm looking out for, and I can't wait for next Sunday. Um, I'm glad we have shows like this to look out for in the summer, where we can say every Sunday we get something to talk about.
Or in a European case, and I guess many other people, on Monday, or like in the middle of the night on Monday, in the middle of the Um, I just feel like HBO could reconsider this, because I think at this point a lot of people would tune in on this side. So like it would, like, maybe some people would not watch right away if it aired earlier on Sunday in US, but then I think it would be easily compensated way above, if because a lot of people in Europe would then tune in. And I guess in other places, I don't want to do the math for the rest of the world, but I think it would just be like an easier time for everybody if it was earlier. Like, actually, I think
Yeah.
in Australia, like, our buddy David wakes up basically, I don't know, at I don't know, 9 o'clock in the evening in Europe, whatever. It's time zones, but anyway, I think that would be like a time slot that just works like for most of the planet. But for some reason, they keep pushing this, and here we are. But yeah, this has been the first FoFCast, Fellowship of Fandoms podcast episode on the new channel. Hell yeah, we did it. It's been a couple of busy days and, in a way, weeks trying to set all of this up. We still have some things to iron out, but hell yeah, we are here. We will be
We did
doing
it.
this every week for House of the Dragon. Then after that, we have Green Lantern's show. Then after that, we have Rings of Power. There's going to be a lot of things. And in the meantime, there's going to be so many other things. There's going to be movies. Supergirl is coming out soon, actually this week. So we'll probably talk about that movie as well. We're going to do a live stream this Sunday to talk about this, probably on the Fellowship of Fans channel, but I think we can do a collaboration at this point on YouTube. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. You know, the classic like, share, comment, subscribe. Well, at this point, because this is literally the first video we're doing,
We need
this
it.
this really matters. So if you came this far, I love you. You are the best person ever. It's 1 hour. So hell yeah, we appreciate you. You're part of part of the family at this point. Check out our Discord. It's a really cool place. I think especially in the last like year or so, I feel like it really kind of leveled up in terms of like atmosphere and like the feel there. It's just really full of cool people. There's people non-stop talking about this world. Like, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it's been several months since it was over, and there are people still talking about it, and also obviously talking about the rest of the things in this world of Song of Ice and Fire. But it's just a really cool place. Yeah, Shiv, am I forgetting something?
I think you covered it. The only other thing I can say is put in the comments if there's anything you think we missed, or if you have any opposing or arguments to strengthen ours. Like, let us know, because this is a community, so we'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll be checking the comments and replying when we can. But yeah, excited to start out this channel and see where it takes us.
Hell yeah. It's just gonna be a place where we talk about the nerd stuff, and then if there's 5 people who want to join in, amazing. If there's more, even better. So yeah, let's see. If nothing else, we have this beautiful thing on our screen. I mean, Shiv as well, but also, I mean, I'm talking about this whole background and the logo and so on by our buddy Kyle. Like, it just looks so pretty, and just it's there to kind of give you a taste of what we're all into. So yeah, it's gonna be good times. Yeah, thank you. Let me see if I forgot. I mentioned Discord. Yeah, comment, like, share, subscribe. This is the point where it really matters. It's not like we're a huge channel and it's like, one comment more or less. All of them matter now so much. So if you reach this far, maybe you want to say or like or say something or click a like or whatever. By the way, with this, Thank you very much. And with this, we close off the first episode of FoFCast on the FoFCast channel. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. Or maybe sooner than that. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.